Hello and welcome to episode 71 of Wrong End of the Stick podcast with me, Zach Eaton, and skipper Jonathan Nimmo. Hello.
Hello. This is exciting.
It is exciting.
This is not for anybody listening at home because it will make no difference whatsoever. But for us, this is our first in-person recorded podcast for probably 2 years. Coming up to 2 years, which is insane.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see you in person and not as a random box on a screen. So
it is nice, and in the same meeting room that we kind of commonly
we've stolen our old room effectively. So
it's very nostalgic.
Yeah, I'm being very nostalgic, and in good sort of throwback to those times. I mean, we'd never changed really.
No.
But we've done absolutely zero preparation for this, and we've just decided that we've got half an hour spare, so we're going to hit record and
see what happens.
Pump out another podcast. Good times.
Welcome.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, hopefully everyone didn't stop listening while we were away. We're not doing it in person, but hey, there you go. So we have got two things to talk about, haven't we?
We've got one
sort of
both big things.
Both big things, really. So there's a couple of bits of big news that have come out. One being Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes has been added to the England Ashes squad.
Yep.
So after all that talk we had last week around the England team, Ben Stokes to throw into the mix there now. And the other one's the ongoing T20 Men's Cricket World Cup, which is obviously, there's lots of cricket that's been played over the last, couple of weeks or so. So yeah, there's both some meaty things to get into.
Exciting things, and I think, if we start with Ben Stokes, I'm so relieved. But there is some questions, and I don't know if it's been answered yet on kind of news and stuff. I've seen some tweets back and forth and just kind of really saying, welcome back to the team, and Ben Stokes saying that he's excited. But I was under the impression that it was like an indefinite hiatus and went back to New Zealand, so it's a surprise.
Yeah, it is a surprise. And I think there was no hint that it was coming.
No. And
it was just sort of dropped and announced. And yeah, he's added to the test squad, but he's obviously gone away, had a break.
Yep. Fixed his broken finger.
Yep. And ready to come back. And talk about jumping into the
deep end.
The deep end, isn't it? Because it gives me hope that it might not be 5-0.
Yes.
That's what it does for me.
Yep.
I still don't necessarily think it's a series changing announcement for me.
I think it's close.
But he could certainly steer us to a victory or two here or there.
Yeah.
But it depends what kind of form he's in. That's the other thing. We don't know what he's been doing. Has he been training? Has he been playing? Has he just been completely away from cricket?
Yeah.
So we don't really know what has happened and how prepped is he going to be.
Yeah, and where his head's at, because although he's kind of stated, he was dealing with some kind of dark things and the loss of his dad and all of those sort of things. And now he's back. It's kind of like, well, if it was the Ben Stokes of a year or two ago, then I think it would be a series-changing sort of element in terms of batting. You've got that like counter-attacking, fierce kind of aggressive, just knocking them out of the park. You've got another element to your bowling.
Mm-hmm.
He can still make it kind of swing a little bit. He can still do some bits and pieces here and there. He's aggressive. He can do a little bit of what the bowling lineup can do, and as an all-rounder out in the field. It's just...
in cricketing terms, if he is on form, he absolutely brings it.
Another level, absolutely.
It'll be really interesting to see what England's sort of preparations are and the kind of tour preparations, because we talked a lot that they often don't have very long sort of lead up, and I suspect Australia with their quite strict COVID rules, and each state I think in Australia has different COVID rules, so I don't know how much like prep games they're going to get and how many warm up matches they're going to have. Is the lack of that going to affect England? Is that going to affect Ben Stokes more than most if he hasn't played for some time? I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I think that is just such a morale boost for the England team in general. So I think that's big and interesting. And good news, I think, overall.
I mean, it plays out like some kind of Shakespearean play. I mean, for me, it's just like foreshadowing Ben Stokes just kind of having a 200 plus innings and bowling like 6 for 20 out, and just doing all sorts of ridiculousness because he came back from the 2019 World Cup a hero, and then has obviously was playing great cricket all around, taken a hiatus, comes back for the Ashes just when England haven't really shown their best form for the past 6 to 12 months. I can just see it. Oh, well, I'm hopeful, obviously.
Ever the optimist, of course. Yeah,
but he just kind of comes back, and the England squad pulls something out of the bag. So I'm really happy and really glad that he's feeling better within himself as well.
Yeah, that's positive, isn't it? That he's feeling comfortable enough to come back, which is good. Which is really good. There was one other bit of England news as well, which I saw over the last week or so, is that the 5th test between England and India, which got postponed allegedly over something COVID related, but in practice all the India players were being shipped off back to the IPL because the IPL was kicking off. It was a bit controversial. It was all a bit of a thing. But that test was postponed. That is going to be replayed. So India were leading the series 2-1 at the time, but that is coming back, and it's going to be played in July of 2022. So they're going to finish the series, which I think would make it the longest running series ever. But that's going to be really interesting in terms of what on earth that means, because who knows? That's going to be basically like 2 different teams playing each other, which is going to be very strange, but it's always positive news. England playing test matches is always a good thing. So that'll be replayed in the 1st of July next year.
Love that. Good
times. And talking of England playing and actually doing pretty well, shall we go to the World Cup?
Let's do it.
So, the T20 World Cup, I'm disappointed so far, not in the standard of cricket and things they've been playing, which I think has been very good and very entertaining games, but it's just not registered anywhere in media outside of like the little cricket Twitter bubble. It's just not registering. It's not on the news. It's nowhere to be seen. And it's a T20 World Cup. It's England have done well. England have actually won this previously, and we've got a form in it. The format is an interesting format. It's the first time that this format has been used. So we had sort of 2 pre-groups. So you had the big hitters of England, Australia, etc. Had already qualified, and then you had the 2 sort of mini groups of 4 that were going to qualify 2 each to go into the main World Cup tournament, actually. And there were some really interesting qualifying teams that registered. Papua New Guinea were in that, and that's Papua New Guinea taking part in a World Cup for the first time ever, probably in pretty much any sport, I would imagine, except rugby, I would imagine. So I know they didn't win any games, but still, it was good to see them there, and it will be experience for those players moving forward. So the 2 groups that we had there were, the first group was Sri Lanka, Namibia, Ireland and Netherlands, and the 2 to qualify there, so they all played each other once, and it was the top 2 went through to the main tournament. So Sri Lanka won all 3 of their games, looked very comfortable and sort of cruised through. Netherlands didn't win a game and were knocked out, and it was Namibia that pipped Ireland to the post, and Namibia won 2 and lost 1, and Ireland only won 1 of their games, so they beat Ireland, and Ireland out of the World Cup. But I mean, again, great to see Namibia playing.
Absolutely.
What again, fantastic for them to go through to the main tournament and be playing. There is going to be fantastic for them. In Group B, we had Scotland, Bangladesh, Oman, and Papua New Guinea. Scotland won all 3 of theirs, very comfortable for them. Bangladesh won 2 and lost 1, and went through in second place, and Oman and Papua New Guinea both went out there.
Yeah, okay.
So that takes them through to the main 2 groups. So you have then Group 1, which is England, Sri Lanka, Australia, South Africa, Bangladesh, West Indies, and the top 2 of those will go through at the semi-final.
Whoa!
That's a. But then the other group, Group 2, is Pakistan, Afghanistan, New Zealand, India, Scotland, Namibia. So again, I think England are in the tougher group. I think.
Well,
I don't know.
South Africa haven't been.
South Africa have not in great form, but I think there's certainly potential for all of those other teams to do well. But England have won. They played 2 so far, so we're midway through this tournament. England played 2, won 2.
Nice.
So comfortable wins so far, but to be honest, they've not really been challenged that much. The West Indies team pretty much collapsed on them, and yeah, it was a very, very comfortable victory for England. And yeah, so far pretty good, smooth sailing for England. But the bigger challenges will come.
Yeah.
In the other game, Namibia have won a game in that group. They beat Scotland, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. So Scotland have played 2, lost 2, so they're not doing well in their group. And the big game in that group that happened so far was Pakistan-India. Pakistan beat India, which obviously is a heated rivalry, India-Pakistan. It's one that the cricketing authorities have admitted they fix every single World Cup draw to make sure India and Pakistan are in the same group, so they get at least one India-Pakistan game.
They admit that.
Yeah, they've said that they do that every time, so they always make sure India-Pakistan are always in the same group because they want at least one game, and if they're in different groups and one doesn't qualify, they will never get that game. And they make so much money from that game that they make sure they're always in the same group.
I don't know how I feel about that. I totally get it.
I don't think they should be doing that. I think that's sportingly that's not on, and I don't think they should be doing that, but they do, and but Pakistan went and won. So India, bit of turmoil for them at the moment, or a bit of soul searching, but it's a pretty easy group. I'd be surprised if India and Pakistan weren't the 2 teams that went through from that. I mean, New Zealand will be in there, obviously, in the conversation, but they lost. Did they lose to Afghanistan? Or was it Pakistan? No, they lost to Pakistan, I think. I get confused. There's too many games, and they're all on so quickly. It's hard to keep up with them.
Going back to your point, actually, I think it's interesting, isn't it, how much coverage there was on the 100. Not only on kind of online and the traffic around and there, but the free-to-air sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you would think reigning World Cup champions.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy. It's just not mentioned anywhere, and it's
really bizarre.
It is bizarre, and I don't understand. I don't understand why it's not registered at all. There's some really interesting games that have been going on here, and
you would have thought you'd be able to ride off that energy of the 100.
And exactly. And it's I don't know, but as I say, it's not. I don't even know where the games are being shown, but it's certainly not free to air.
No, it's not.
And I've not got access to it personally, so it's unfortunate. But
I think it's disappointing, and I think whoever they've obviously driven the 100 and that stuff, and I think that's been so good. And I think both for men and women's cricket, I think it's been received really, really well. I think I love the theatre of it and everything else, but I feel like they've really neglected their responsibility to promote English cricket, especially as just cricket in general.
And that's it. And this is what one of the criticisms of the 100 was, that it was all focused on just the 100 and that tournament, and they're going to use it properly. And you're right, there was momentum coming off that. I mean, at the summer there was a lot of interest. There was a lot of kids that had been interested in cricket, watching cricket for the first time. And then you've got a big world tournament, World Cup. Everybody knows what the World Cup is, even if it's not your sport. You know what this is about, and it's nowhere.
Yeah,
it's not on the news. It's not anywhere to be seen, and it is disappointing. And it's a missed opportunity again, I think, by England cricket. And it's because of the way the 100 worked in terms of it. It's a very similar sort of tournament to the T20 games. You've got some of the big hitters are in the England team. Liam Livingstone, who was like absolute star of the show for the 100, is in the England team, and he's there, and you won't get to see him in the Test matches. Maybe one day, but not yet. But he's there and he's playing, and it's the people who you've seen on your TV. And you're like, oh, they're amazing. I want to go and watch them play for England, and they're not being given a chance to, and that doesn't make sense to me.
No.
But maybe as the tournament goes on and we get closer to it, we will hear more about it. And I'm sure if England do well and get through the semis and the final, there'll be more of a push, as there had been previously, to get it on free to air. And I'm sure Channel 4 will work some of their sporting magic, which they seem to do at the right time, to get things on there. But it just feels like it's not getting the attention it deserves, because I love a World Cup. I love and it's T20 cricket. It's a good, fun, entertaining, light-hearted. It's great to watch. It's a good spectacle, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And there have been some really interesting games. I mean, they haven't been that close actually. A lot of the games have been quite one-sided so far, but even games that you'd expect to be pretty close, Namibia were pretty comfortable in beating Ireland.
a bit disappointed in Scotland, Afghanistan.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Scotland getting what 60?
I think they got, but I think Afghanistan set a target of 100.
190, which was huge.
Yeah. And then bowled them all out.
For
60.
Yeah, in about 10 overs, which was crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of the games have been, but it'll get there, and it's building up nicely. And yeah, as I said, Pakistan India was quite something to watch. And yeah, we'll see where we get to. But it's interesting and it's a good tournament, and everyone should go and watch it. Find out where it's on, and don't do anything illegal like stream it online without paying for it. Definitely don't do that.
No. We'd never recommend that.
No, absolutely not. But yeah, get to see some of the games if you can, and I'm sure there's highlights floating around YouTube and stuff on official means if you can't do anything else. So yeah, go and watch some World Cup cricket. That's what going to be my aim over the next couple of weeks, is to seek out some cricket, and you know what, we can go to the pub and watch stuff now. So that's it. That's it. Yeah. So all good. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled on that. Whew.
I think it's short and sweet, isn't it?
It is probably short and sweet this week. It's probably because we're in person. We don't want to,
Yeah, we've got stuff to do.
Yeah, I know. This is it.
Next time we're going to cover the Aussie Ashes squad, aren't we?
We're going to come back to that. We haven't forgotten. I know we frequently promise to do stuff that we never end up doing, but we are going to come back to that Australia, or a likely Australia squad. I don't think there's been any particular squad announced yet, but we'll go through their likely teams. Likely players that are going to be involved from them, and give our verdict on that. That might bring us back down to earth if we get excited over Ben Stokes, might it?
Yeah, it might do, but I don't know. Anything can happen at the Ashes. And the other thing is, obviously, I don't know when the date is, but the release of Cricket 2022. So we're going to have to relive our own
Cricket
little Ashes.
2022. Yes, so that's out, I think, in November sometime. I'm not sure exactly when. So we're definitely going to get on that, and we're going to do a little bit of. Well, we'll do a bit of. I'm got a bit of a plan to do a bit of recording of our games, and then we can possibly edit them down, and we'll probably do some live streams on Twitch as well, which we haven't done forever. But I'm definitely going to record some of our battles, and then I can edit it down and stick it on YouTube, and we can.
No sneaking in practice on Cricket 19 now on the.
Oh yeah, but there'll be different games, so there's no point, is there? Anyway, you could sneak in practice as well. So
I could.
But yeah, there's no point. I don't know if it'll be different. So
do we need to do a coin flip for who goes Australia or England?
Absolutely.
Should we do that now?
We can do that now, yeah. Have you got a coin?
I think I do, yeah.
I've got a coin. 25th of November it's out, by the way.
25th of
November. So we've got about a month to wait. But this is our preparation. I will start studying the Australia team more closely if I get Australia. So is it winner's choice?
Winner's choice gets to pick what team.
Okay, I'm up for that.
Do you want to call it?
I will call it.
Right, ready?
Yep, tails.
Tails
it's
it
tails.
Is. Oh,
you see, I didn't really want to win the toss. This is the thing. It's a toss. You know that cliche. Oh, it's a toss. He didn't really want to win.
Yeah.
I'm going England.
Okay.
I want to be England, and I also, just given our history, I think I was Australia last time.
I think you were, yeah.
And it was nice winning with Australia, but really, it'll give me more satisfaction to win with England. I think England are the underdogs. And I think I can guide them. I can put my arm around them.
Yeah.
Ben Stokes is there, and I can guide them to victory.
I feel like if I lose now, that I won't feel so bad, which protects me.
Yeah.
Which is great also.
But
I am definitely going to win.
I mean, let's be fair. So you never beat me in Cricket 19 ever.
I think I have once.
Yeah, maybe once when I fell asleep at the controls, and that's about the only time that you came anywhere near
over the headset sledging maybe distracted you.
But yeah, I mean, I think that was when I was something like Papua New Guinea for playing Australia or something. I think that was it. Or, I think I ended up being a domestic team against India or something ridiculous. But,
yeah. I think you might have been. I think it was something like Scotland or Ireland, and there was a lot of random names and stuff and players that we'd never seen or heard.
Yeah, nobody ever heard of them. So when we do that, so it'll be out on about the 25th of November, which will be approaching Ashes time. I'm not sure when the first Ashes test is, but I shall look it up. Are we going to try and do it so it's the exact 11 playing each other? And then do it at about the same time. So maybe try and do it during the Ashes games, So once we know what the starting 11 is, we'll play that whole test through.
Why don't we do it just before? See if there's any foreshadowing.
Okay, yeah, I'm up for that.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely up for that.
See how close our performances are to our
So we'll do our prediction of what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll end up predicting based off our results a very one-sided series, I think. But, that's okay. I'm all right with that. But that sounds like a plan.
Fair enough. You're on.
Look out for that. We will obviously talk about our games on the podcast, but do look out for them on our YouTube channel. Go and search for... I never tell anyone how to get to our YouTube page. I don't know how to get to our YouTube page, but search Wrong End of the Stick on YouTube and you'll find us in there. But if you are looking for us elsewhere, you will find us on Twitter at Wrong End Podcast. You'll find us on Instagram at Wrong End Podcast, and you can email us wrongendofthestick@hotmail.com.
Beautiful.
So thank you for listening, everybody. It's been short and sweet this time, but we will be back in 2 or 3 weeks' time. I'm away for a bit, so maybe about 3 weeks' time. We will be back, and we will see you then. In the meantime, please rate us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you choose to rate us. I saw we got another 5-star review. We've had 4 5-star reviews over on iTunes, I noticed the other day. So thank you very much for those people who've listened to me and said that.
If we get to double digits, we'll send out a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, you're still waiting for your T-shirt that I owe you.
Yeah.
But then I also discovered that the KKR got to the IPL final this year, and your team were nowhere to be seen. So you technically owe me one as well. So.
Okay. We'll have to.
Yeah.
Have to exchange Night Riders T-shirts.
We'll exchange T-shirts at some point. Cool. So thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.